So now we're going to talk about object relationships. Object relationships have two parts. It has a field and a related list. The related list has multiple values. So for instance, on this account record, I have multiple contacts. Now, on the contact side, I have a field which will hold one value. So the child record is the contact. The parent record is the account. So the parent record is the one that can have several related records. The child record is the one that has the field and it can have one value. So in this screenshot here, what you're seeing is you're seeing an account with multiple opportunities. So the account is the parent, the opportunity is the children. And the opportunity has the field on that side, so it can have one value. Now, a relationship between two objects can be one of two. It can be a lookup relationship or a master detail relationship. Now let's talk about the difference between the two. Lookup, you could have 40 custom objects, whereas a master detail, you can only have two. A lookup field does not have to be required. A master detail field, however, is always required. You can convert a lookup to a master detail as long as all of the records, all the child records contain a value because it's a required field. You can convert a master detail to a lookup as long as there are no roll-up summary fields. Now we'll talk about roll-up summary fields in another module, but a roll-up summary field basically is a field on the parent record that allows you to get the values of related or child records. So for instance, on the account record, the parent, I might create a roll-up summary field that says, tell me the value or the sum of all my open opportunities. Now in the lookup relationship, the child record is actually considered a child, but in the master detail, it's actually considered detail. So child and detail are very similar. If it's a lookup, it's known as a child. If it's in the master detail, it's known as a detail. Now with lookup, standard objects can be children. But in master detail, standard objects cannot be detail of a custom object or a parent. So if you've got a master detail relationship, a standard object cannot be the detail part of that relationship if it's a custom object as the master. With the lookup, you can delete the parent and the child will not be deleted because it's not a required field. However, in the master detail relationship, if you delete the master, the child will automatically be deleted. In the lookup relationship, the parent and child records have separate security. So what this means is you might be able to see the parent, but not all the children. In the master detail relationship, however, the detail records get their security from the master. So if you can see the master record, you can see the detail records. Now let's talk about the relationships between the objects we just created, between the school building, the classroom, the class, the student, and the book. So first, let's talk about the relationship between a classroom and a school building. A classroom cannot exist without a building. So we need this to be a required field. So this would be a master detail relationship. Next, we have the relationship between the classroom and the class. Now this is a situation is a little different. This is called a many-to-many relationship. And the reason for that is on the classroom side, I want a related list of all the classes that could be held in the classroom. On the class side, I want to be able to see a related list of all the classrooms this class could be held in. So we'll dive deeper into that in a moment. Next, we have the relationship between class and student. This is also a many-to-many relationship because on the class side, I want a related list of all the students that will be in that class. But on the student side, I also want a related list of all the classes that student will be taking. So what we want is we want a related list on each side. So on the class side, I want to see a list of all the students, and on the student side, I want to see a list of all the classes. Now let's talk about our last relationship, the relationship between the student and the book. This would be a lookup relationship because all your books may not be handed out, right? You may have some leftover books, so this can't be a required field. So your student would be the parent and your book would be the child. So now I want to dive deeper into this many-to-many relationship where I have a related list on both sides. The only way to make this happen is something called a junction object. Because class and student are both master records, I need a child record to link these two together. So in this case, my junction object would be registration. And I would create two master details on this child object called registration. One would look up to the class and one would look up to the student. All right, so many-to-many needs a junction object. Your junction object becomes the detail record of your two master records, which is class and student. Now you'll notice that the related list here doesn't say class or student. It says registration, which is our junction object. But you'll notice it gives me the information I need. So even though the related list says registration, on the class record, it's showing me the name of the student. And on the student record, even though it says registration, it's showing me the name of the class. So now we're going to talk about creating these relationships.